Today we have with us Neelam Kumar, who's a famous author. Ma'am, if you could start by telling us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Shruti. Very honored to be on onco.com. How do I introduce myself? I have many personalities and wear many hats. So I've been a TEDx speaker. I am a motivational speaker. I'm an adversity coach, having gone through many adversities in my life. I'm a life skills coach for youngsters, and I am currently at RN Bodar, where I teach life skills to 17 and 18-year-old, because I'm trying to build a new empowered India through the youth. I'm a cancer coach, and I am an author, a best-selling author of 9 books. And having gone through so much in my life, Shruti, I am always available. I like to spread hope through my written and my spoken word. That's me, Neelam Kumar.
Wonderful, ma'am. Thank you. And generally in our culture, we find most people don't like talking about cancer. They don't like to share that they are going through cancer or someone in their family is going through cancer. So
right.
In a time like that, you have written books about your experience with cancer, putting it out there for the world to read. So what motivated you to do that?
So Shruti, there was a dark blank wall in front of me when my second cancer came to me in 2013, sorry. And I am a reader, I'm a writer. So I wanted to feed my mind that was, going quite crazy about what's going to happen. And the first decision was that I decided to live, and then I said, let me read books that are going to help me live, books that would cheer me, books that would give me hope. So I read 3 classics. One was Grit and Grace, the other was The Last Lecture, and the third was Tuesdays with Morrie. In all these, the protagonist dies. And then I saw the film Anand, and he sings and becomes a lovable person. But in the end, what happens? He dies. Now, I had no plans of dying. So on my chemotherapy table itself, I asked my nurse, the sister who was attending me, to give me my laptop, and she said, what will you do with it? I said, I'll start my own book. And that's how I wrote To Cancer with Love, My Journey of Joy, in which I created an alter ego. Now, this girl is a brave heart. She has no cares for, others' opinions, and she teaches me how to absolutely enjoy life, because life is meant to be enjoyed. Her name is Carol, so I every time I go weak, the Neelam in the book goes weak, she makes me strong. Now, after that, the book, all I had to do was follow my own script. And that's how I learned to battle with the weaker side of me. And I was so surprised when Hay House picked it up, and it began helping so many people around the world. It was so wonderful. I said, now I can't stop, because there's so many people who say, ma'am, we are clutching your book, we are clutching your book while we go in for our chemotherapy. Now, it's a wonderful feeling to be able to help someone who's in London and who has no hope, no courage. But then I was quite surprised myself that my book was making such an impact. So then I said, I want to do something else. I didn't know what. And then I thought, Shruti, that, there is we are a deadline-driven society, no time for reading. So let me create a happy graphic novel version of it, so that people can read it on the go, and it can be a vitamin shot for people. Then I asked for funds, and I'm really, really grateful to Mr. Ratan Tata and to Mr. Amitabh Bachchan, who helped me create this graphic novel. Now, this graphic novel with all these wonderful illustrations is such a joyous book that I'm really, really happy. Bestseller has been writing actor Manisha Koirala's journey, a battle with ovarian cancer. It's called Healed, How Cancer Gave Me a New Life. It was such a joy to write this book because as a survivor, I could understand that. And why the book has become such a huge bestseller is because an actor of her stature wanted to share the pains, the trials, and the triumph. So this is how I came to write the cancer books, even though before that I have written books with Mr. Kushwant Singh and other books which have been bestsellers, but these are the most fulfilling books that I have written.
Wonderful. Ma'am, I'm just going to... Okay. You've survived cancer twice, and I have met a lot of people who've survived cancer, and they tell me that after cancer, you can't go back to what you were before. You can't go back to the old life. It changes you. That journey changes you, and you feel like living your life differently this time round. So, in your experience, what were your biggest takeaways from your cancer journey?
They are right. When they say that, it's right. The first time I got cancer, I was a young woman, of 35. I had just lost my husband. I had two little children to take care of. And I was scared like hell. I didn't have any emotional support. So that time I did it wrong. Yeah. So I was in a state of self-pity. Now, in the second time, I was a pro. I had decided, gone through so much in life that another cancer is just a bump in the road. And this time, I decided the cancer is not going to define me. I am going to become everything I was made to be, and I might have been, so that I can polish myself and become the real Neelam, means a stone, it's a precious stone. And I said I'm going to polish myself so much that I'm able to help others through my writings, through my books, and through being an actual proof. So my takeaway from this is, which is which is the title of my next book. Yes, I can. If you determine you can do something, you actually can. The 37.2 trillion cells in our body, they wake up when your mind becomes the master. So my takeaway was, first, we should be very, very grateful for every breath that we take. It's not a given that the next breath is going to come. So be very grateful. And when you feel weak, Shruti, all you have to do is shift from the victim to the victor mode and break through your own self-imposed limitations. And then you can. Trust me.
Also, the role of caregivers, in a disease like cancer is quite crucial. So what would you advise to the families of women who are going through cancer? What would you want to tell them?
So let's divide them into urban and rural. In the, the first thing I would say, of course, after cancer happens, I would say something else. But before that, I would like to tell society, stop creating the image of the ideal Indian woman as being sacrificing, as being completely giving, and having no time and looking after the family's demands, schedules, and needs. Because the problem with this patriarchal death trap is that women they are so busy giving of themselves that they don't even have time to go for a cancer checkup when they have any funny feeling in their body. So by the time they find the time, after their son's board exams are over, the daughter's wedding is over, the husband's tour is over, and then they go to a doctor, it's too late. So that is one thing that I would tell everyone, not to fall into that death trap. Now, the rural scenario is very grim, because most of the people I have met from the rural, from the rural side, the villagers, my neighbors, my drivers, they all feel cancer is infectious. So, what happens is that if something is infectious, what will they do with you? They will ostracize you. So, in a rural setup, caregivers, even though they may feel for the woman, they can't express it because, after all, it's an infectious disease that they. Caregivers, of course, if they are emotionally attached to the person who has been stricken, so they themselves go through a lot of grief. Now, in India, we have very, very little emotional support for caregivers. Burnout in caregivers is a very, very common thing. And we don't reach out to caregivers. So there are two types of caregivers. Either those caregivers who think that it is not my business because it is something that is infectious, they don't do anything. And the others who do too much and they burn out. So caregivers, when I meet them, I don't give them any lecture. I tell them that I am there. I am there. If you ever want to talk, please tell me what I can do. How can I be of help? Because I don't know what exactly they are going through. It would be completely, nonsensical of me to go and say, oh, I've been through it. It's nothing. She'll be okay or he'll be okay. Not at all. Best thing is to hold your tongue and just be there as a silent support.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for talking to us today. And I'm sure a lot of us, including myself, I'm feeling what you're saying, every word that you've said. And I'm sure a lot of our viewers will appreciate everything you've said. Thank you so much for speaking to us.